Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Wesley, Senior Pastor of Greater Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church. Our mission is to reach, teach, and baptize throughout the world, beginning in our community, fulfilling the Great Commission by the power and presence of the Holy Spirit until Jesus returns. That simply means we're here to reach irreligious people and turn them into lifelong devoted followers of Jesus, equip them for a place of service in the church, and send them out on a mission for Christ in the world. We're glad you're with us today. I command blessings on you and your family today.
If you've been with us, we've been walking through a series, now the new series that we're in, The Greatest Stories Ever Told. The greatest stories ever told. We're looking at the parables of Jesus. We've looked now at 3, 4. We looked first at in Matthew 13, the parable of the sower, which is a description of the seed of the various kinds of hearers. We looked at the parable of the wheat and the tares, speaking to our age, that they have to grow together. And then we turned last week to Luke chapter 15 to look at the greatest story that Jesus told, the story of the prodigal son. And we looked at the first section of that last time, and we want to look at it in the rest of it this morning. And we prepared a little video clip to do the reading. If you want to follow along in your Bible, it will be Luke's Gospel chapter 15, verses 11 through 32. Now, the sermon text this morning will pick up in verses 25 to the end, verse 25 through 32. But to set the background, I want us to watch this video clip and look at the imagery that it presents for our understanding for the morning. Let's roll the clip. Take about 5 minutes.
A man had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of the estate that falls to me." So he divided his wealth between them. And not many days later, the younger son gathered everything together and went on a journey into a distant country. And there he squandered his estate with loose living. Now, when he had spent everything, a severe famine occurred in that country, and he began to be impoverished. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, and he sent him into the fields to feed swine. And he would have gladly filled his stomach with the pods that the swine were eating, and no one was giving anything to him. But when he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired men have more than enough bread, but I am dying here with hunger? I will get up and go to my father, and will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me as one of your hired men.' So he got up and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion for him. And ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight. I am no longer worthy to be called your son."
مش عارفين. بو.
But the father said to his slaves, "Quickly, bring out the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and sandals on his feet, and bring the fattened calf, kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and has come to life again. He was lost and has been found." And they began to celebrate. Now his older son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. And he summoned one of the servants and began inquiring what these things could be. And he said to him, "Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf because he has received him back safe and sound." But he became angry and was not willing to go in. And his father came out and began pleading with him. But he answered and said to his father, "Look, for so many years I have been serving you, and I have never neglected a command of yours. And yet you have never given me a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your wealth with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him." And he said to him, "Son, you have always been with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice. For this brother of yours was dead and has begun to live, and was lost and has been found."
I want to preach this morning from the subject, the worst kind of people. The worst kind of people. You would think that the worst kind of people are those who do bad things, and there are some people who do some real bad things. And I'm not minimizing that they are wrong in what they do. But what I want to help you see this morning is that the worst kind of people are not always those people who are lost in the world. Sometimes they are the ones who are right in the church. The do-gooders. The people who try to do right. This parable, this is one of the greatest stories that have ever been told. And it's not really one story, it's really three stories woven into one. It is the account of the son that was lost, and we talked about him last time, so I won't regurgitate all that. Unfortunately for you that wasn't here, get the tape. There is this emerging image of this loving father. And then there is this older son who was very dutiful and who remained at home. Everyone who has ever heard of this story knows what it means or it implies. And even children can lift out of this story lessons that are valuable to them. But I want to help you understand that you will never understand this story unless you are able to set it appropriately in its context. And the context of this story is that it is set in Middle Eastern culture. It's a story that's thousands of years old, and practices that have begun to disappear from our current Western lifestyle. Some elements of it still live, but vast majority of those cultural elements are no longer with us. And so it may be hard for some people to get their hands around all that's implied. There were attitudes and mindsets and understandings and expectations that were a part of that culture. And those men and those people who heard Jesus speak it would have understood what he is saying. So in order for me to help you, I've got to paint a little bit of that picture. It was a day and a time when honor and shame stood out at the forefront of all that was in their culture. Everyone wanted to do what was honorable and what was right. In the family, especially in a family like this, a 3-person family with a father and 2 sons, the father would be at the center seat of the apex of the honor system. Everything was to give him honor. Then honor would go to the oldest son, and then honor would come to the youngest son. They believed in honor so strongly that some even believed that by doing right, you could even earn your way with favor with God. This was the culture in which this story is set. But you also have to understand the background in which it is written. Jesus is in the last 3 months of his earthly life on the earth. He has been preaching for 3.5 years. And he's slowly making his way to Jerusalem to where he would give his life on the cross. And along the way, he has encountered enemies. And the enemies that Jesus has encountered are called Pharisees. They are the religious men of that day. They were themselves the architects of the honor-shame system that was a part of their culture. They were the ones who decided what was right and what was wrong. They were the ones who had taken God's law and had broken it down into a series of rules and regulations to decide this is what pleases God and this is not what pleases God. And in the process, they had accused Jesus of not being the Jewish Messiah at all. As a matter of fact, they say he was a false Messiah and that the miracles that he did were ascribed to the devil. He was from Beelzebub, and the miracles he did were from Beelzebub, the prince of the demons. And to prove that even further in the minds of their influence on the common people, they said, all you have to do is look at the people Jesus hang out with. And they will prove to you that he's not who he say he is, because he hangs out with prostitutes and with sinners and with tax collectors and with the scum of the earth, people that we would never hang out with. So therefore, they are of Satan, and it also means that he himself is of Satan. So Jesus needed to defend himself. And defend himself he does. And he does it through telling these dynamic stories. When you come to the 15th chapter of Luke, he tells 3 stories. The first of these, he says, you men don't know the heart of God at all, because God is not offended at me hanging out with these people. As a matter of fact, God rejoices when these people are found. So he tells the story of a shepherd who had 100 sheep. And one got lost, and the shepherd leaves the 99, and he finds the one and rejoices, calls the other shepherds, rejoice with me, I found my sheep. He's saying that's God's heart. And then he says, you don't know God's heart, because he tells another story. He said a woman had 10 silver coins, and one of those coins got lost. And the woman took a broom and went frantically through the house searching until she found that lost coin. And she said, now come, invited all her friends, rejoice with me. I found the valuable thing that was lost. And Jesus was implying, y'all don't know, that's how God feels. And then he tells the great story of the man who had 2 sons and the younger the son. Now, Jesus plays right into the cultural norms of that day, knowing that it is a shame and honor system. So he tells a story that's a head shaker, a head scratcher for those in that culture who would look at this and understand the difference between shame and honor. And he started off by saying the younger son makes a shameless request by going to his father and saying to his father, Father, give me the portion of mine that I'm going to get once you're dead. Let me have it now. In other words, I wish you were dead now. Get out of my way, give me my money, and let me live like I want to live. And you know the religious leaders have been saying, what? That's a shame. No boy, no Middle Eastern Jewish boy would ever say such a thing to his father. Can I just drop a little bunt on you and help you understand? I couldn't talk to my daddy like that either. Because had I come to my daddy and said, give me mine, and you still alive, and I wish you were dead, I wouldn't be here to help you today. And the expectation would have been then that that Middle Eastern father would have knocked that boy out, slapped him across the face, or dealt with him in some kind of harsh way. But here comes another shameless experience. The father in the story divides the living. He does what no Jewish man would do. He divides the 2/3 to the older son and the 1/3 to the younger son. And the younger son know that he couldn't get possession of it until his father was dead. But he takes his deed that shows he has 1/3 of it, goes out into the market, sells it quickly in a fire sale, and turns it into cash. And then takes off in a shameless rebellion. He goes out to the far country, set up shop, has a crib, does all of the wild living, party hardy, yeah, doing it big time. All of that. Until he spent it all. And then when he spent it all, he began to hurt. And he ended up at rock bottom in the hog's pen, competing with the hogs for the slop that they eat. And something snapped inside, and he said, look, I can't go on like this. I need to come to myself. I need to go back to my father. I do have a loving father at home who has a generous heart. He pays his servants, his common day laborers, more than enough. And he has slaves and servants there, and everybody there has more than enough. And I'm about to die with this mess that these hogs are eating. He said, I know what I'll do. I'll get up from here and I'll go home and I'll tell my father, listen, I'll make restitution. I'll work for you. Don't even consider making me a son. Don't even consider making me a slave. Make me the lowest on the totem pole and I'll work my way back in. The boy understood that honor-shame system, and he understood that if he went back home, he would be expected to be outside of the city where the people in the city would come by and would heap shame on him because of the way he treated his father. He understood that he would be the low man on the totem pole and that he would have to work. His father wouldn't even come see him and would tell him how long he would have to work before he could earn his way back. But as the boy is on his way home, another shameless thing happened. The father sees him a great way off. And he runs, does what no Middle Eastern man would do. He grabbed his robe and pulled it up. Middle Eastern men did not show their legs in public. They wore long robes and they just kind of glided. But this father put the shame on himself so that he could protect the son, runs out, meets the son before he gets into town, kisses on him, restores him to full sonship, turns and orders the slave, bring the best robe. Every family had a best robe, the robe that was reserved for the father himself, for special occasions that he would wear when his oldest daughter got married or when there was some special family event. And he says, bring that robe and put on this son. And he said, bring not just any ring, but the signet ring, the ring that could be melted into wax and placed on official documents, and let him be known as the one who has authority in this family. Bring shoes and put on his feet. Slaves go barefooted. This is a son. He's a master. Put shoes on his feet. And then he shows, as the Pharisees are probably saying, what? A shameless reception. And kill the fatted calf. In other words, bring the one we've been holding over here, fattening up. Kill him and let's have a party. Because my son, which was dead, is alive. And that was a picture. God is pictured as the father. The son, the repentant, the lost man that goes out in the world and gets lost, but comes to his senses, repents and come home. Jesus wanted these Pharisees to understand that's how God feels. Heaven rejoices, has a party, wonderfully so, when the lost returns home. That was last week. Now today, the other son. That's the worst kind of person. You wouldn't think so, but walk with me. Here comes this boy, Prince of Bel-Air. Been in the field all day. No one lets him know that a party is going on at home. You ever wondered why that was so? Because the father wasn't foolish. The father wasn't fooled by this boy goody two-shoe attitude. He knew who he was. He understood that that boy did not have any love for him nor for his brother. Because had the older brother had love for his brother, younger brother, he'd have got in his face when the younger brother came to his father and said, give me the portion of goods. He would have straightened him then. He would have said, man, that's just not the way we deal with dad around here. So you're going to have to get in line. But he said nothing because he did not love his brother and he did not love his father. And the Pharisees who scratching their heads said, The boy made a shameless request, and the father went worse, gave him what he asked for. The boy went out in rebellion, did nothing that a Jew boy would ever do, and nobody said nothing to him. And then to make matters worse, the father received the boy back home with joy. What kind of mess is this? That would be their mindset. You know how it is. You know how you do. You know how you look at other people when they've done wrong, and you point the finger and you point out all they wrong. Yeah, that sure is right. That sure is a shame. That sure is. He never should be given that. And so the older boy comes from the field. I was just surprised that the father did not send a messenger out in the field to say, hey, boy, come on in, man. We got it going on this evening. None of that. Because the father knew that boy did not only have any love for his brother, but he really didn't love the father. And so the work day ends, and the young prince comes home. Must have been a massive estate for something to be going on with 100, 200 guests to eat the fatted calf. It would take at least that many. All of the village, the most important event that has taken place in the village, the most important event that has taken place in the family. And he knows nothing about it. And when he comes home from probably way out on the corners of the estate where he's been working, he really wasn't working. He was sitting somewhere under a tree watching everybody else work. But whenever the day was done, he glides home. And when he glides home, he gets near. And he hears music. And he hears dancing. Now, I don't know about you, but if I come home and I hear music and I hear dancing, I'm not waiting outside. I'm going in. What's up? What's up? Come in. If I hear the right music, I might come in. Whoop, whoop. Might come in already in it. Didn't matter who started it. I'm here now, I'll finish it. But not this boy. Not this boy. See, all of the servants, the house servants were inside. Another one of those Middle Eastern cultural pictures. The servants are inside. They're serving the party. They're making sure everything is going on. And on the outside, the peripheral would be the younger boys, who could not necessarily celebrate inside, but they could hang outside and enjoy the company and watch the people as they go. They wasn't parking lot attendants because there wasn't no cars. So they were just out, hanging out there, enjoying whatever happened. And so when the older boy comes in, he summons one of those boys. And he says, hey, what's going on? And the answer was, your brother has come home. Now, I don't know. Come here. It should have been a moment of excitement. It should have been a moment that filled his heart with joy. If he loved his brother, he would have known, my brother left home in a haste. My brother left home in a huff. I don't know what has happened. I don't know how long he's been gone. I'm dying to hear what he's been up to, and what has happened to him over this period of time. That would be the natural, expected response. But not this boy. This boy said, what? And he said, yeah, man, your brother has come home. And your father has received him safe and sound. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know about you, man. We always had a great time. I had 6 brothers, and when they would go off in the army and one of them would come home, on furlough or leave or something like that, man, the whole family would get excited. And we all run, man, oh boy, home, from basic training or from NAM or wherever he had been. And we would all rejoice and come there and want to hear about all of the stuff that has happened. Because we had love for the brother. But this boy had no love for his brother, and he had no love for his father. And so here comes what I would call a shameless reaction. Look at his reaction. Before I give you his speech, let me tell you what messes up people like this boy. What messes up people, and this is why I call him the worst kind of person. Because this is the kind of person who stays home. This boy had been at home. He had been dutiful. Nobody could say he ran away. Nobody could say he had done anything wrong. He had always been the one at home. He had always been the one following what his dad said. He had always been the one right there. Yes, that's externally. But internally, he was slowly rotting. Can I help you see that? Can I help you see that when people are do-gooders, and they are do-gooders for their own personal? See, when you do something good, you ought to be doing something good to glorify God. But when the glory doesn't go to God and the glory goes to you or goes to some other human being, it's not real. And when it's not real, it has no lasting value. And so this do-gooder had been at home following his father's event, but doing what his father said, but not really loving his father. He was just buying time, waiting on his father to die. He wanted the same thing the younger boy wanted. He just didn't have the nerve that the younger boy did. The younger boy went to his father and said, I want mine now. This other one was laying at home and saying, I'll just wait till you die. And when you die, then I'll take over. Neither boy loved their father. And so let me help you. If you are a do-gooder and you've been doing good and you've been around the church or you've been around the house, I'm not saying that that's you individually, but it might. Paul speaks about it in 1 Corinthians 13. He said, you can do good. You can speak with tongues. But if you have not love in your heart, you're just a noise maker. He said, you can do good. You can give. You can give so much so that you can give your body to be burned. But if your heart is not right, he said, you can know stuff. You can know all of the prophecies and all of the mysteries. But if you're minus the love, you're nothing. So the problem that adds to this do good stuff is because he did good, but it was for his own purpose. And when people do good for so long, they begin to believe that they are better than they are. You begin to make yourself believe some kind of way that you have arrived and that you are a better person than you really are on the inside. So he refused to look at himself. He only looked at the things that he did externally. And in that day, in that culture, what it became the same as today, a works salvation. And there are people who believe that if they can do enough good, they can earn their way with God and earn their way into heaven. And man, when you put all of that stuff together, you can become, and the longer you do it, you can become blind to who you are. And blind to the truth. Jesus said there's only one way. I am the way. I am the truth and I am the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. So if you're a do-gooder and you're thinking that you can earn your way with doing good, pay attention to this story. Now let's look at this boy's speech. Let's look at his reaction. Verse 29. When the servant said that your brother has come home. Man, instead of a moment of rejoicing, the boy's heart sunk within him. Why did it sink? because it was his worst fears. Your brother has come home. Competition has returned. Someone to compete with you, someone to compete for the rest of the inheritance has now returned. And his worst nightmare was not only that his brother had returned, but that his father had received him safe and sound. Now, safe and sound. In the Greek, the safe and sound is the word that's translated hygiene. Which means, clean, so it wasn't really so much so that the boy came home clean, because he didn't. He came home smelling like pigs. But the father, the Septuagint, which is the Greek interpretation of the Old Testament, interprets that same word that we call hygiene and safe and sound as the word shalom, which means peace. In other words, his father has received him and restored this wayward boy to full sonship. He did not censor him. He did not put him to shame. He did not make him sit outside of the village. He did not beat him up. He did not do any of the expected things. So in a real sense, the father shows a shameless reception as well, reaction. So the older boy is angry. I mean, he wouldn't go in. I don't know many parties that I wouldn't go in. I'm serious. I used to tell my boys, man, when you go in the party, at least put your back on the wall and see who in there. Go in there and walk around and just kind of see what's going on. If you see wrong talk or see crazy stuff or guys huddling up, get out of there. But don't refuse to go to the party, man. Y'all know it's the truth. So some of y'all don't even have to be invited. Just hear that there's a party over there, and I'm sliding on in. And so the older boy refused to go in. And when he refused to go in, he became angry. And watch, I want you to see the Pharisees. Pharisees are probably thinking to themselves, wow, finally somebody who's going to demonstrate honor. Because the father has embarrassed himself. The younger son has embarrassed himself. The father repeatedly doing these kinds of things. Finally, here's somebody that's going to do the honorable thing. Because they're probably thinking, I wouldn't go in that party either. See, I need you to see this. These are the architects of the honor-shame system. And so Jesus masterfully, this is why I call it the greatest story ever told, because Jesus masterfully involves them in the story. They are sitting in the seat of judgment, so they are looking at every event and they are saying, shame, wrong, shame, wrong, shame, wrong. And now here comes a character that they can identify with, more than they knew. Because the master for Jesus is about to expose them and show them themselves. And he does it as they sit in the seat of judgment. And he said, and they're going, yeah, here comes our boy. Somebody who would do the honorable thing. Somebody who would not go in the party. I wouldn't go in the party either. But then word gets to the father, who's on the inside, that the older boy is outside and won't come in. Oh, man, you got to love this father, man. You got to know, you got to understand that this big banquet, this big party on this big estate where they killed a fat calf, probably 100, 200 guests, music going, man. The men are all in a circle. They're clapping. They're doing it, man. They ain't dance with the women. They dance among themselves. They clapped and they sang and they hooted and they hollered and they drank and they had a good time. And all of that was going on the inside. And they were not there because of the lost son who has returned, but they are there because of the father. They are there because this father who has put himself to shame to make his boy be all right. This father who has done everything counterculture to demonstrate his love for his son has put his own love on display, and the whole community has come together to celebrate the loving father. May I help you understand? It's a picture of heaven. When you get to heaven, we're not going to be celebrating the sinners that arrived, but we're going to be celebrating the Father who forgave every one of the sinners. And the party that's going to be going on in glory is to honor him. And the boy didn't want to go in. So the father does what the father has been doing. He condescends one more time. What do you mean he condescends? He comes out. I mean, he does what no one else would do. He's seated at the guest of honor. He's seated at the head table. All of the people are praising him and talking about him and how merciful and gracious he is. And some of the servants whisper in his ear and say, and your older boy's outside and he won't come in. So the father gets up and he leaves all of the celebration and he goes out to the older son. Condescending once again. What do you mean condescending? He did the same thing for the younger boy. He was at home, he was watching, looking, praying, looking for him every day. And when he sees the younger boy coming, he leaves the house and he runs out, pulls up his robe, runs through the street, embarrasses himself, goes to the younger boy, hugs him, kisses him, lavishes love on him. And now he's willing to do the same thing for the older boy. He leaves the party and he goes outside to where the boy is. And he does again what no Jewish Middle Eastern father would do. No one that I know, no black one either. He begs the boy to come in. That's condescending. That's coming out. He's not so big being himself that he's not concerned about this one who is also lost. Although he's dutiful, although he's there, he's rotten inside. And the father knows that, and yet he's willing to go out and try to win him as well. What I'm trying to help you understand is God loves you no matter who you are. You could be the worst of the worst who've gone out, wasted your life. The Father will come out, receive you unto himself, cover you with love, and give you everything that you need. And if you are a self-righteous hypocrite, he'll come out after you too. He'll come out and throw his loving arms around you and talk to you and try to bring you back into the fold. That's the kind of God we have. He goes out and he begs. How you know he begs? The word that he entreated him. And you got to watch that word entreated in the Greek. It's in the noun form is where we get the word paraclete. And paraclete is the Holy Spirit. And paraclete is another one just like Jesus, one who comes along beside us. So the Father comes out of the house and he comes along beside the Son. And he says to him, he says, son, all that I have is yours. Come on in. You know, it can be yours. It's yours too, but you got to come to the party. You got to come in. And it was a shameless response on the heart of the Father. The same shameless response that he had toward receiving the other boy. He puts himself to shame again in the eyes of the lookers, the Pharisees. And all. And they're saying, what a fool. When is somebody going to do the honorable thing? And so they're willing to cheer on the older boy because they're saying, this is our guy. He's going to make us proud with his honor of refusing to go in. But I want you to see this shameless response from him. He jumps on his father. And he began to talk to his father in ways that you just don't talk to a man. Even the young boy, when he came home, he came home saying, Father, giving his dad a title, I've sinned against you. But this older boy doesn't even use a title. He said, look, or lo, man, you just wouldn't be able to come up in my faith if you my son. Talking about, look here. Look here, nothing. You ain't got nothing to see with. Because they just got dotted. Look, I have a name. You put a handle on that name. You just can't come in my face saying, look. And it shows the kind of disrespect that this boy has. And where does that come from? It comes from his own self-righteousness. Listen at him. He says to his father, look, All these years I've been here with you and I've worked like a slave. No joy. Not that I did it because I love you. Not that I did it because I found value in working. Not that I did it because I was trying to grow the estate. But I worked like a slave. In other words, I had no relationship with you. You had no relationship with me. You've been kind of like my master, surrogate master. And now I too wish you were dead. And in his own self-righteousness, what he says to his father, all of these years, I've been here slaving, and you never gave me as much as a goat, a baby goat, a kid, so that I could celebrate with my friends. But here come this son of yours, look at that. This son of yours who has wasted your money on harlots, prostitutes and that. Now, where that boy get that from? I mean, he has no conversation with his brother, so he don't know where his brother's been. So he's just concluding that that's how the boy has wasted his life. He didn't even come in to say, hey, how you doing? Where you been? What's up? So how in the world can he jump to the conclusion that he has taken his money and thrown it away among harlots? Well, I'll tell you why he said it, because Jesus put the words in the boy's mouth. It's a made-up story. It's the greatest story ever told. And Jesus put the words in the boy's mouth because Jesus wanted these legalistic Pharisees to see how quickly they are judgmental to other people. And when you don't know the facts concerning somebody else, you tend to fill in the blanks on your own. And these boys were looking down their noses at this younger boy and this young older son. I mean, he goes deeper. He's not through with his father. He digs his claws into his father even more. And he says, in essence, to his father, he says, listen, you're the one who has shamed yourself. You divided the living and gave that boy that money. And you're the one who has received him back. Didn't make him earn restitution. You're the one who gave him a robe. And you're the one who put shoes on his feet. And you're the one who having this party for him. And I've been here all this time, and you have never done anything for me. In other words, I'm the one who's perfect. I'm the one who's right. You're the one who's wrong. In other words, you owe me an apology. How dare somebody get in God's face and say, I'm the righteous one. That I'm the dutiful one. I'm the Sunday school teacher. I'm the choir member. I'm the faithful one. I've been here all along, and I've done all of the right things. And you are the one who have gone wrong. You're the one who keep loving no good somebody. And you're the one who keep bringing them back. And you're the one who keep forgiving them. And you're the one who keeps showing them mercy and love. You're the one, God, who's wrong. And I'm the one who's right. I want you to see the worst kind of person. The worst kind of person is the self-righteous one. It's the one who thinks they know it all and God knows nothing. And that God somehow is in error. Oh, come on, don't y'all act like you don't know what I'm saying. You know how you sit there? Some of you sit there and you look at a boy like me and you say, God, and you let him preach. And you look at some of these and you say, and God, and you let her sing. And you say, God, and you let him be a deacon. And you look around and you say, and God, and you let them be ushers. And you say, God, and you're going to give them a place in heaven. Don't you know if they can get in, I deserve front row seats. But God knows. This was a shameless reaction from the son. Now watch this shameless response from the father. The father says, son, my boy. I mean, it's almost, if you could hear it, if you could feel it, it's almost a begging. It's almost a pleading. It's almost a sorrowful longing for. Man, come on, don't behave yourself like that. Because you already know what's going on the inside. See, when the father get up and he leave the banquet room, the party, everybody start whispering, where he going? And the word comes, you know that older boy, he back. He outside and he won't come in. So I bet he gone out there to say something to him. Well, let's just watch and see what's going to happen. Come on. And probably some of them start bedding to the side. I bet he going to bring them both in. I bet he going to do this. And probably somebody else said, no, he ain't coming. You watch. I know him. I've been around this community a long time. He ain't coming. He been riding a long time. I don't care what the daddy said to him. See, this daddy done ruined both of these boys, and they ain't coming. Come on, y'all, help me here today. The father's shameless response is look, son, listen, we had to have this party. We had to have this celebration. My son was dead. When he left home in the Jewish culture, they had a funeral for him, which meant dismissing him, distinguishing, separating him from the family. He's lost. He's forgotten. So they had a funeral. And now the boy has come home, and the father wants to throw a party. And the son, the older boy, is angry. But daddy, you using my money. You using my 2/3 to give this no good boy a party. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. You're the one who's wrong. And the father says, one last time, and this is what I would call the shameless resolution. Father doesn't have any shame because he knows what he's doing. And he knows why he's doing it. And he says to the son, he says, son, listen. You've been with me all this time. All that I have is yours. But you got to come in to get it. It's all yours. But you got to be willing to receive it. Stop looking at somebody else and get what's yours. It's your. I got enough. I got more than enough. I got enough love. I got enough grace. I got enough mercy. I got enough money. I got enough power. I got enough position. I got enough status. I got enough standing. I got enough prestige. I got enough room. I got enough promotions. I got enough space. I got enough of everything. And all of it can be yours. But you have to come in. So let me ask you. You want to know what I want to know. And I wanted to know when I read this, what happened to the boy? What did the older boy do? What did he do? What happened? The parable ends right there at 32, where Jesus said that the father said, boy, all of it can be yours. Now, let me do 5 minutes of surgery for my theologians. In Jewish prose, they write in symmetry. The story of the lost son is in 8 verses or 8 stanzas. The story of the elder son is in 7. Something is missing. The end of the story. Now, I always like to add an ending, and if I had a chance, I would add my own. You know what I would love to be able to say? I would love to be able to say, and the father continued to talk to the older boy, and the older boy came to his senses, and he broke down on his knees, and he cried, and he said, Dad, I'm sorry for being such a fool, for being such a hard-hearted klutz, and please forgive me. Come on, let's go inside. I want to see my brother, and I want to go up front, man, and sit, and the 3 of us can hold hands once together, and we could all be there together. I wish I could do that, but I can't. I can't write the end of the story. And you can't either. So how does the story end? Who wrote the end of the story? The Pharisees wrote the end of the story. And this is what they said. They said, and they took the father out back and beat him with wood until he died. That's exactly what they did. 3 months later, they arrested him in the Garden of Gethsemane. And they led him from kangaroo court to kangaroo court. And they took wood and they beat him. And then early that Friday morning, they marched him like a common criminal through the streets of Jerusalem, sometimes rising and sometimes falling, until they got him out to a hill called Calvary. And when they got him out to a hill called Calvary, then they put nails in his hands and they laid him down on the ground, and then they hoisted him up in the air and they speared him in the side, and they crushed a crown of thorns upon his head, and they slapped five with one another, and they made fun of him, and they said, if you be the Son of God, get down off of this cross and save yourself, and then we'll believe you. But you know what he did? He dropped his head in the locks of his shoulders and he died. And they thought it was all over. Friday, it was over. Saturday, it was over. But early Sunday morning, he got up with all power in heaven and earth in his hand. And he said, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. In that act of crucifixion, death, and resurrection, Jesus is saying, I love everybody, and I can save all people. I can save the lowest of the low who finds himself in the hog pen. I'll pick you up, dust you off, kiss on you, put you on a robe, put a ring on your finger, put shoes on your feet. And if you are a legalistic Pharisee type, I'll even come out of the party and put my arms around you and speak kindly to you and plead with you that you can have a place in my kingdom. But you got to come in. You got to come in. Anybody came in? Anybody came in? Anybody came in? Songwriter put it like this: I came to Jesus just as I was, weary, wounded, and sad. And I found in him a resting place, and he has made me glad. I'm glad about it this morning. I'm glad about it. I'm trying to stop. Y'all better let me stop here. I'm trying to let this thing go, but I feel my help coming. I feel some kind of way, because I want you to know you can be blessed, my brother. You can be blessed, my sister. You can know that God will take care of you. No matter who you are, he'll deal with you. Wipe tears from your eyes. Yes, he will. Mend your broken heart. He will. He knows how to bless you. And I want you to be blessed. I want you to be blessed. I don't want anybody to have to miss the party, because you need to understand there is going to be a party one day. And the party is going to be in heaven. And it's going to last forever and ever and ever. But you can't wait to then to get your invitation. You have to get your invite now. Make your reservations early. And when the party starts, oh, you'll be there, baby. I can see you in your future. And you look better. Let me encourage you today. Let me speak life to you. You can depend on me to pray for you. You can depend on me to see you through. Come on, choir. Be blessed, my brother. Be blessed, my sister. I just want to give you an invitation now. If you're here today, if you're outside of God's family, you can come today. You can come. You can come today. You can come if you're a wayward son or daughter. You can come. The Lord loves you. He'll meet you halfway. He'll put his arms around you, and he'll walk you home. If you're a legalistic daughter or son, self-righteous do-gooder, knowing that your own rottenness is blinded by your own self-righteous eyes, But the Lord see you as you are, and he's still willing to call you unto himself. Whatever you might be today, if you hear his voice, harden not your heart. Come, Jesus said, unto me all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest for your souls. So I just want to say, be blessed. Be blessed. Be blessed. Come on, you can do it today. You can do it. Come on, wherever you might be. Come on, let me encourage you. Come on, let me speak life to you. You can depend on God to see you through. You can depend on me to pray for you. Doors open. Somebody might be at that place today. Come on, it's all right. Frustrated. Let me encourage you. Let me speak life to you. You can depend on me. You can depend on me. Come on, pray. I'm gonna keep on praying. Pray. I'm gonna keep on praying for you. Pray. I'm gonna keep on praying. Pray. I'm gonna keep on praying for you.
Hey friends, this is Michael Wesley, Senior Pastor of Greater Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama. We really appreciate all of the love and support that you have shown to us through these broadcasts. We've been hearing from people and our friends all over, and we want you to pray about being a supporter and a prayer partner and a supporter of this television ministry. If you believe the Holy Spirit has ministered the Word of God to you and you'd like to see this ministry continue and to share it with your friends, please consider being a supporter. Follow the prompts on the screen. We would love to hear from you.